I like this song. I don't know why. I get a kick out of it every time. Welcome, everybody. Welcome.
Hello.
Oh, welcome to Barely Interesting. Tonight we have Niklas Starow, Trial Watch, is our special guest here to talk about day 3 of Wisconsin versus Zachariah, the trial that David and I are restreaming during the day. Thanks for being here.
Ah, good to be here. Good to be here. I haven't talked to you in a while, Saul. And for you who don't know, May 10th is my birthday stream, and it's going to be a Zachariah Anderson fundraising stream. I'm bringing out the Wheel of Regrets, and you make me suffer, folks.
Bless you, Nick. You're a saint.
So,
hell no. Yeah,
Nick has raised more money for Zachariah Anderson's case than anyone else that I know of. He's done a great job. I might have gotten us across that first finish line, but Nick carried us like all the 27,000 laps before that. So
yeah, I haven't counted it, but it's somewhere between 15 and 20 of those are from my streams.
Yep.
And I'm going to continue. I said I would, and I will.
So we have day 3 today. Day 3 restreamed this morning. And a little synopsis for day 3 is we finally get the defense's opening statement, at least the rest of it. I feel like she should have started over, but she kind of picked up where she left off, and
I agree.
It is what it is. Mind you, the jury had an entire day and a half really off before we got back to the opening statement. So while we saw it kind of morning or, afternoon to morning, the jury missed out on a day and a half before they saw that. And then we get the state's first 2 witnesses. The first witness was Anschutz,
Detective Lauren Anschutz.
Lauren. His name is Lauren. And then we have the upstairs neighbor, Miss Swanigan. That was the second witness. And then we have a stipulated statement, which is really weird to me. I remember watching that the first time around. So we're going to talk a little bit about each one of these things here today and sort of break down some of the issues that we have with them. So that's how I'm. I don't know. That's all I got right now.
So with the introduction of Anschutz, I think that it's a really important thing to point out that they didn't mention that Detective Lauren Anschutz, has a history of multiple occurrences of falsifying police reports and lying under oath. Now, for those of you that don't know, the prosecutor is obligated to notify the jury that the police officer that they put on the stand has a history of dishonest police work. And this didn't happen. It's supposed to happen immediately. It's sort of like when you put a criminal on the stage, you talk about the previous offenses by the criminal. The same thing. It's to make sure that the jury understands that this person is not necessarily a good actor. So we already have a bare minimum of negligence by the prosecutor, if not malicious act by the prosecutor. He's not ignorant of this. He knows. He has a printed list, a list of police officers that have a history of this. He's well aware of the fact that Anschutz is on this list, and he did it intentionally.
The other thing, too, is he was qualified to testify regarding blood. Not like say that, not to confirm that it in fact was blood.
Not scientifically.
Yeah, not scientifically, but to say based off of his experience, he could say that it appeared to be blood of a certain nature, and I can't remember exactly how it was phrased because you'd have to really dissect every word that Judge Schroeder went through. And I don't even know if he qualified him. He just said he's allowed to talk about it, even though he just doesn't have there was no foundation. That's really what we're looking for. From a technical standpoint, there was no foundation. But yeah, he was still allowed to talk about it. And we're going to get into some blood stuff today because that's Nick's forte. Nick loves the blood in this particular case. So, Nick, what are your thoughts on the blood from this particular case?
Well, I've been, for you who don't know, hi, Nick. I do labor law in Sweden, and people injure themselves at work and stuff like that. So after a few torn fingers, hands, limbs, and stuff like that, you get kind of immune, but you start to see, okay, the humans contains a lot of blood, and they can lose a lot of blood without passing away, and vice versa. But when it comes to this particular thing, I compare it to the crime scene photos in the Jodi Arias trial. And
let me pull those. Let me pull those up.
Yeah.
So this is the blood stain. Now, if you guys don't know Jodi Arias trial, she stabbed her boyfriend to death, and this was one of the blood stains left.
One of them.
One of them. It was all down the hallway.
Yeah.
As we can see here. And then it was in the bathroom, more spots here. It was all over the place. Also, look at the streaks on the wall.
Yeah. This is very important when it comes to the Zachariah Anderson case. That is smear across the wall. Now, the prosecution wanted the jury to believe, and for somehow made it believable to them, that a 6 foot, 270 plus man, and Zach at 6'1" something, 200 to 210, was in a violent fight, and no one of them touched a wall. Because if you see the testimony in the trial, the crime scene photos from the trial, there are 0 smears anywhere. Not on furniture, not on not on walls.
This
not
is the
on
bloodiest
door.
spot.
This is the bloodiest spot of a person the prosecution claim bled out.
And for the record, that includes the front door, where they presented the theory that he was ambushed at the door and pushed through the doorway, where they say that the blood splatters from a violent attack. So they're saying that he's bleeding as he's pushed back into the apartment, but somehow there's no smearing whatsoever on any surface.
Yeah.
Now, and it would be different if they didn't insist, if the prosecution didn't insist that he bled out in that apartment, and that Zachariah Anderson carried a dead body out of that apartment. It would be vastly different. I'm trying to find the front door. Oh, here's the front door. Like, this is the splatter on the front door. This is sort of oh no, I'm sorry.
That's the cabinet by the front door.
That's the cabinet.
Yeah. Now, there are blood driplets all over the place. But if you compare the two scenes, there's a huge difference between how an actual attack looks like.
And, I mean, that versus hang on. This. You know, I mean, it's just different. We're talking about someone who's smaller. This blood stain is from somebody who's smaller than Rosalía.
Yeah. Travis Alexander was 5'10", 5'11", 200, something like that. So Rosalía has a good 20-25% on him. And that's this is it. And I don't know if you ever if not, somebody here might have been in a fight or something. If you get knocked down, you rarely just stiff up and go down. You grab stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There should be smears all over that place. And Rosalía's apartment was mostly white. White walls, light gray flooring. I mean, look at this. This is a brown wall, and it's clear smears. Mm-hmm. But in Zachariah, in Rosalía's apartment, no smears, no testimony about smears. Nothing. And yet they claim this absurd fight. And a witness, the neighbor, thought it sounded like somebody was a scuffle. But there are no signs of scuffle, except that some furniture is moved. But that's not a scuffle. That's staged.
So why not, though, as a prosecutor, say, we don't know if he died in that apartment, if he bled out, if he was carried out. We just see a lot of blood. He hasn't contacted his kids. We're not going to speculate. They could have done that, but they didn't. They chose to double down and insist that Rosalio died and bled out in that apartment and was carried out by Zach. It's just nonsensical. That's part of one of the biggest issues with this case is they just sort of come up with a story and run with it, despite the fact that the facts seem to indicate differently.
Yeah, and you still have this with carrying him out. He can't have done a fireman's carry because that would have dripped everywhere, and you would have seen a trail out the apartment. It can't have been anything where the ends of the so-called rolled up rug have pointed out. So he has to have carried him with the points up.
I found the front door, by the way. So here's the front door. You can see the blood down here in this section a little bit. And then so that's it. That's where the attack happened. So says the prosecutor.
Which is adjacent to the mailboxes, which nobody saw this blood on the 18th when mail should have been delivered and picked up from the tenants. So there's all kinds of problems with this.
I wonder if it's one of those apartments where it's like, oh, there's a bunch of gross stuff on the walls. That's sort of normal.
I mean, it might be, but that's a little excessive. I mean, this leads us, it segues us right into the next topic that I wanted to bring up, which was the sloppy police work. This really, really mediocre police work that we see being done, where they just took a guess. They didn't even bother walking through the evidence to really nail down what the probable cause or motive of attack or what happened in that apartment was. They were handed a potential suspect and they said, no problem. Let's try and get it on this guy because we've got a story that we can run with. So they didn't really do the police work. And that's shown in the lack of care that they didn't even presenting the information. Like the drawing that Detective Correa made of the apartment. David, you've got that laying around, right?
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. Yeah, let me pull that up.
Yeah. And also a comparison with the Jodi Arias trial. The prosecutor there, Angry Elf, he had a complete diagram of Travis, and this is what they showed.
This is an embarrassment. They took a legal pad and then quickly sketched that up because they realized in the last minute. I mean, what did he do? Sketch that up while he was sitting on the prosecutor's bench and hand it to them? This is asinine. This presentation, this is supposed to be a professional. It blows me away that the lead detective didn't even have the professionalism to have even a straight line diagram or a scale drawing of the crime scene. This is ridiculous.
Do we know if he sketched this up during the court proceedings?
I don't know when he did. I'm just surmising. I mean, because this is done in a hurry. I've made better drawings literally walking through someone's house for giving them a quote on a remodel on a legal pad. I've drawn better depictions of someone's house than this. This is awful. He doesn't even have
what are they trying to indicate with the blue arrows right here? Like what is
potential
this?
Rug? I think that's the stain on the floor and maybe some directional splatter or movement.
There's like something here that was here. I don't know what this is.
The chair. That's the table that's pushed into the corner with Rosalio's laptop on it. And then the table looked like it was recently moved. Now, for the record, there's a space between the couch and the wall, so this isn't even accurate. There's also a wall that separates the kitchen. It's just a doorway from the rest of the apartment. This isn't even an accurate presentation of the apartment. It's ridiculous.
Is this on mine? John, did you give me a super chat? I can't see my thing. Oh, you did. Awesome. Thank you very much. Glad to see you back, Dave. I left a gift for Sal and Zach, an early birthday gift for Nick on Give, Send, Go. Awesome.
Oh,
Thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
And by the way, so we've been showing those pictures of the Zachariah Anderson crime scene. You can get all of that at freezachariahanderson.org. It's linked in the description below. So check it out. There's also a link to the Give, Send, Go there if you want to support the cause.
Thank you, John. Yeah, this is part of the.
Oh, this is Jody Arias.
Yeah,
I was like, that looks familiar.
Yeah, this is the. And this, I mean, this is 11 years ago. Prepared. I mean, now it does look like a pin diagram, but this is how they used on scale.
They used to do it, right?
Yeah, and that. But then you have
back in the day when they had computers.
Yeah, it's and this is nowhere near to scale.
No.
It's utterly ridiculous.
There's no even dimensions on it.
No.
There's no dimensions on this whatsoever. We don't even know that this is to scale.
Yeah.
I don't know the purpose of this.
No,
other than to say
there
was a rug missing. I don't know what this is. Yeah, it's embarrassing.
Yeah,
but look, go back to this, right? So there's dimensions, there's identifiers, there's, if you zoom, if we had a better image, which we do in my Discord, you could see like they're indicating certain things. There's a key with all these little numbered codes as to what was found where.
Yep.
Not this.
Yeah. And it's almost as if they are allergic to accurate measuring tools, because there are things that you can use. Go to the hardware store and bring out a measuring tape. No, there are specific forensic measurement tools to use, but they just.
Of course, it's the scale. Yeah, the bedroom is 9 lines tall. That was great. It was okay. So I'm watching today's trial day, and this is the first time we see Gravely actually asking questions. And it sort of dawned on me. I don't know if it dawned on me at the time, but I'm wondering how often he actually tries cases. And I don't think it's that often. He doesn't know how to answer or ask, rather, a non-leading question. No clue how to ask a question, period, let alone a non-leading question. His questions are compound and confusing, and then he repeats himself, and he's just a disaster. And I think I commented in Bronca's, or maybe it was my stream. I said I've judged moot court competition with high schoolers and college level, and it felt like that. I felt like I was watching somebody who had no experience in the courtroom, and he supposedly has 31 years experience, which actually brings us to our newest segment, which is.
So I'm going to overrule you on that, on the fact that it's argumentative and speculative.
I thought the argumentative objection is me being argumentative with a witness. I'm not aware of argumentative being that there being another form of argumentative. I thought it
there
meant
are
to be
two forms.
Okay.
You're never too old to learn something new.
Yeah, but if you're the elected district attorney and you don't know the different kinds of argumentative.
This is going to be a new segment, by the way, for this.
Gentlemen, furthermore, this man teaches law classes at a local college in Kenosha. So he is an instructor. On top of that, this man is instructing people.
Yes, that's the scary thing. So he doesn't know how to ask a question that's non-leading, or in general know how to ask a question. He's learning new tricks, new things about the legal profession, which, to be fair, it's always good to learn something new. But when you are a prosecutor, you should know how to ask questions. You should know the types of questions you can and cannot ask. You should know the difference, like what is an argumentative question. Just for context, when you are making an argument to the jury with your question, that's an argumentative question. And that's what he was doing. He was leading constantly, but then he also stepped across the line a couple of times. That was, I think, the third time he was called out for argumentative questions when he actually asked the judge what was an argumentative question, because he had been sustained the third time. So he had no clue what an argumentative question was. So it's kind of important to know that stuff if you're going to be the prosecutor, which leads me to wonder how many times he actually tries a case. I doubt it's that much.
Yeah, but then again, I don't know if it's intentional or unintentional, but it worked. He got a conviction.
Yeah,
had he been able to ask non-leading questions, because when in cross-examination, they only have more or less what did the witness answer, and then you have to inflict the prosecution's question. Do you remember when the prosecution asked you this question? Then they have to repeat what he said, and repeat. You don't want to repeat what the prosecutor says, because being repetitive is how you can install false memories, how you make a lie into a truth.
Yeah.
So it's very dangerous, and that's why those rules are there, because it's the witness who's supposed to tell what's going on, not the prosecutor.
Julie O with a 6-month member chat. Thank you very much, Julie O. Like if DEI was for middle-aged white man, LOL. Thank you very much for the 6-month member chat. Very soon, Solomon, you will get the member chats and all that. You'll be monetized. You can do all that good stuff.
Everybody go subscribe to Sol.
Yes, you guys should not be watching on my channel. You guys should be all watching over on Solomon's.
I mean, you can
link is at the top of the chat. What's I going to say? Oh, I had a thought in my head. I will say there's been a couple of questions from the defense counsel, and I always forget her name. Nicole
Muller.
Nicole, that I wasn't a fan of.
I agree.
So I want to be clear. I'm not just picking on Gravely here. There were some questions of hers that I wasn't a fan of. I thought they were confusing. She misstated she conflated Zach and Rosalio way too often for it to be comfortable. And it actually made a lot of the cross-examination a little confusing. I feel like there could have been a better way to do it. Again, we're all looking at this hindsight more than a year later. I get that. So I'm not going to be too tough on her. Is more of a once in a while as opposed to every single freaking question like Gravely. But Zach, I called you your brother's name. Yeah, oh, you got to mention Solomon, by the way. You got a couple of mentions today during trial. You were interviewed by the Popo.
I was interviewed by the Popo, actually by Lauren Anschutz, by that guy who looked like he was sweating through his suit while on the stand today.
He looked so nervous, didn't he?
Yeah, and he looked nervous in the hallway outside of the courtroom too. He barely made eye contact with me when I walked past him. He knew.
Now, were you in court that day, all day?
Yeah, I was there the whole day. Yeah, even through the judge's rambling at the end of the day, the 90-minute diatribe where he was trying to talk about pretrial motions that nobody understood outside of the counsel at the tables what exactly he was rambling about, because he's talking about really the process of validating an expert witness, and that's why he's talking about trigonometry and about basically legal standards for the last 40 years and how they've changed in his career. And what is it, like legis barborum, the Germanic law from like the 8th century. I was waiting for him to start citing that too. You know what I mean? Like, it was just like absolutely ridiculous why he was going so deep into the history and where it needed to be for trying to make sure that they had expert witnesses. It was absolutely stupid. He sounded like a demented old man.
Yeah, so what Solomon is talking about, at the end of day 3, there was a evidentiary hearing, I guess, so to speak. But really, it was just the judge talking about an evidentiary ruling he was making that the parties had argued sort of off screen. I don't know if it was in writing, if it was at a prior hearing, but he was making a ruling on it. And it was regarding qualifications of expert witnesses. Now, the typical qualification is that you have to have education, experience, some sort of special training or knowledge that the normal layperson doesn't have that can assist the trier of fact in understanding the evidence that's being presented. So say, for example, what they were talking about here is blood splatter and things like that. You would want somebody with years of experience, with the scientific method, with measurements, with trigonometry to say that the blood hit at this angle. Now, that's largely junk science anyways. I'm just using it as an example because that's what was addressed in day 3. But what Judge Schroeder was saying is that it's hard to get people to apply for these jobs. So we have less people, and those less people are also less qualified. So we can't get somebody that has a ton of experience. We have to rely on the people that we have, which means we're literally dumbing down the experts. That's what that literally means. And we're going to allow this guy to testify because we got nobody else.
Yep.
You know what? Well, I wish I could have any one of my random clients be like, "Oh, Judge, you know, they were involved, so they're an expert, and there's nobody else." So,
and I don't think that's true. I mean, it might be that the prosecution had a hard time finding somebody to tell his story because nobody was there who wanted to tell his story because it wasn't connected to reality.
And for the record, the person that they were arguing about, he's coming up, I think on Thursday, was Officer Van Wee, who didn't even get his certification as a blood spatter expert until well after they processed the crime scene. So this is part of the argument, was that he wasn't qualified as an expert when he processed the crime scene, and therefore missed a lot of things in processing the crime scene because he wasn't familiar with that type of science. But that's okay. He can go back. He can go back with photographs and calculate it, but he doesn't need trigonometry because the judge said so. He testifies tomorrow, I believe. Is it?
I think so. I don't know. I might be mistaken. Actually, what's his name?
I thought it was Van Wee. I thought he was on Thursday.
He might be.
Because Flux is going to talk about forensics. Anyway, so
day 5. Okay.
Right. So one of the other things that was brought up was Sadie Beecham's emotional state, and this is really important. Now we have the 911 call, but what we also have in the discovery, as we've read through, is Sadie Beecham's objective behavior. Now, David, we talked about playing the 911 call. You want to do that now?
Yeah, we can do that now. I'll just preface this with the understanding that Detective Anschutz, or however you say his name, testified that Sadie was extremely scared, right? And they got around the whole hearsay issue with regard to scared for her kids because of her dangerous acts BS and got that in. Even though that was clearly hearsay.
Yeah, but if the police took that seriously, they would have gone with her.
Yeah, she was allowed to leave the scene after being scared. But we can play. I just got this as part of my discovery packet. So here is, it's just audio only. This is the Sadie Beecham's 911 call.
1020 1107 23.
Kenosha 911, what's the address for emergency?
Let's see. The address is, oh gosh, sorry, I should know this. It's 3, or actually I shouldn't know it. It's 3, I'm just looking here. 3715. Is that the building? Yes, 3715.
Mm-hmm. And what street?
What was that?
What's the rest of the address? 3715 what?
15th 15th Street. I'm not familiar with this area very well.
Is it Wood Creek?
15th Avenue, is it 15th?
15th Street is Wood Creek. What apartment?
1B. So I was doing a wellness check on a good friend of mine that I was dating, and I found it weird because I haven't talked to him for like 24 hours. And I just went to his house, and his screen door is wide open.
Okay.
And I knocked on the door, and I saw something like scattered on the outside of the outside door. And then I just, I kept calling his name and knocking on the windows and knocking on the doors, and the screen door is like wide open. And I just pulled the
Okay, were you able to see inside?
Yeah, I pulled the blinds back, and there's blood all over the floor in the living room. And
Can you see him at all anywhere?
I didn't go any further.
Okay, and are you sure about 3715? I'm not showing that as one of the building numbers.
37. Oh my God. I'm sorry. Only just walk in front. I'm kind of freaking out. 3709. I'm sorry.
3709 15th Street, Apartment 1B. What's the phone number that you're calling from? What's his name?
Rosalio Gutierrez.
Okay. Do you know how old he is?
40.
Okay. And you can't see him at all, though?
I didn't go any further, no. Okay. I'm afraid. I just saw blood on the floor, and that's not normal.
Okay.
Something's not right. He's got
That's
kids.
it. We're gonna get officers over there. There's nobody else there that you could see?
No, he hasn't been answering the phone. Both of his vehicles are here. And like I said, his phone's been going straight to voicemail since, like, I don't know, maybe 11 o'clock last night.
Do you know what his phone number is?
Yeah.
There's going to be another beep. Thank you for the member chat.
And when did you say the last time was that you spoke with him?
8:30 on Sunday night.
8:30 p.m. on Sunday night?
He texted me. Yeah, that was the last time we texted.
And he seemed fine? Everything seemed okay?
Everything seemed okay. He said he was going to go by a friend's house. Okay. And I said, well, call me when you're on your way home or whatever. And he said, okay. And that was the last I heard from him.
Okay. Do you know if he lives there with anybody?
Nope, he doesn't. I mean, we've been dating for like the last couple of months, and I don't.
But nobody else. He doesn't have a roommate. But you said kids. Do they normally stay there with him?
Yeah, he had just dropped. He had his kids this last weekend, and he had just dropped them off, and and just said he had dropped them off and went to a friend's house.
Okay.
And I, didn't think anything of it, but then I thought it was odd that he didn't text me in the morning because he usually texts me good morning. Mm-hmm. And then I text him and I didn't hear anything, and then I texted him that afternoon and didn't hear anything, and then I called and it went straight to voicemail, and I thought that's weird. Like, it seems just strange.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we do have an officer on the way, so he's going to be there shortly. If you find out anything else, give us a call back, okay?
Should I go in? Do I not go in? Go check?
That's up to you, but if you don't feel safe going in, I don't suggest doing that. But I would probably not, just in case there's something else going on. It's better if you just wait outside for the officer.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Bye-bye.
So that's the entire 911 call. Now, I imagine you'd be, if you don't know anything about it, you might be a little freaked out seeing that. But I'm brought back to what was said in the defense's opening statement. Is that this is a person, Sadie, that's hung out with this guy every other weekend for a couple of months. Yeah. Yes, she did text saying that she wanted to get serious with him. Well, she doesn't know that he's texting other ladies. I'll give her that. But why are you over there on a random afternoon? It just seems kind of weird. Or morning, yeah, actually,
like 11 a.m.
11 a.m., yeah. It just seems kind of weird.
She says 11 a.m. on a work day.
Yeah, exactly. She says last night, which is actually the 18th, which is a day after the state alleged that he went disappearing. And it's really important to recognize that, one, that she seemed nervous. Sure. Hysterical? No. She was able to organize her thoughts. She
not
wasn't
the
so,
way it was described by the witness. That's the point.
and that's the point of bringing it up, is that Anschutz said that she was in such an emotional state, unbelievable. She was so worried about her children and all this stuff. Well, as it turns out, before she even left, she had texted Zach while she was there. She texted her landlord about getting a referral. She also texted her friend Rebecca, who is a witness later in the trial. So she's texting these people. Somebody was already taking care of the kids. And so we have a disconnect between the story told by the detective on the stand and the behavior. Now, yesterday we talked a little bit about the objective behavior of someone in regard to stalking, and the objective behavior of someone with excited utterance, right? With this idea that she was so completely emotionally distraught. But we don't have her doing that. We don't have her so completely emotionally shot that she wasn't capable of doing that. And furthermore, she wasn't so terrified of Zach that she was avoiding him. She texted him that morning while waiting with the police.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so these are, by the way, all the phone call and text communications. They're all available on freezachariahanderson.org. You can go check them out yourself. These are all pulled straight from the evidence that the police have. So you can go check this out.
The texts that I'm talking about are actually still in the discovery, and those will come out as soon as we have the permission to post them completely online. But the reality is that she's not overly excited. She's definitely thinking about things. She's thinking about her next apartment. She's thinking about needing a referral. And you're telling me that she was so paralyzed by fear, by paranoia, by whatever it was, that she needed to leave to go get and make sure her children were safe. But she didn't ask for a police escort. They didn't offer a police escort. They didn't offer for a local police officer where she lived to be dispatched to the home to protect her and or her children from this person who allegedly murdered a man within days before this.
And mind you, so this is May 19th. The state says that Rosalio was killed on May 17th, 2 days prior. Who also shows up on May 19th is Mike Campbell.
Yeah.
While the police are there. So you get two people that randomly show up on the 19th, 2 days after, 15 minutes apart from each other? It's just kind of weird that
he showed up a little bit later in the early afternoon. I think it was
okay, so a couple hours.
Yeah, a couple hours later.
So, but I think that was like shortly after she left. Maybe that's where I'm thinking.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember. And I'm not saying that they're together on this or either one of them did it. I just find it weird that two people that are supposedly looking for Rosalio show up on the 19th, a couple hours apart from each other, when he supposedly was unalived on the night of the 17th. I don't know. I just find it weird. But that gets us to the timeline. Because this first witness is the first time we really have an establishment of any sort of timeline. And that's Anschutz. And he testifies about whatever incoherently and very nervously for a while. But right towards the end, D.A. Gravely asks him, based off of everything that you've observed, were you able to establish a timeline of a likely death? And he said, yes, 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. on May 17th. So that's the timeline they're working with. Now, the next witness is Maria Swanigan, who's the upstairs neighbor. She testifies that on May 17th, between 10 p.m. and 11 p.m., she heard loud banging, which she identified as coming from the Rosalio's living room. All right. It's an hour off. It's not horrible. You can give or take an hour. People aren't sitting there looking at their watch the whole time. That's fine. All right. But we have it on the right day. The interesting thing is that there's a witness that is not available. They don't say why she's not available, but she's another neighbor. and this is Miss Douglas. And Miss Douglas will give a statement to police on May 19th, so the day that Rosalio apartment is discovered. And in that statement, she will say that she heard an argument on May 18th, the day before, at 1 p.m. in the afternoon, coming from Rosalio's apartment. Not the evening of May 17th, but the afternoon of May 18th. Then, a full 2 years later, almost 2 years later, after having a phone call with D.A. Gravely, changes her story and says that no, it wasn't on May 18th at 1 p.m. That's impossible. It must have been a few days before May 19th, which is the day I talked to the officer, and it would have been around 9 p.m. So why such a dramatic change 2 years after the fact, after you have a phone call with the district attorney? And you're not able to be cross-examined because we can't, for some reason, find you or get you or subpoena you or whatever. You're unavailable. So what they entered was a stipulated statement, which I'm not sure that it was emphasized enough for the rest of the trial going forward by the defense. But it's been a little bit since I've watched the closing, which would be the only time you would emphasize it, right? And so I have to really watch the closing again. But I completely forgot about it until I rewatched today's trial. And it's in my notes. I put it all over there. I'm like, how is it that her things? I completely forgot about it, though. And I've been like focused on this trial for a year. Not as much as Solomon, of course. But it's just interesting to me that changed after a phone call with D.A. Gravely.
Yeah, but that is consistent throughout witnesses and police, and that they changed the story after an unrecorded meeting with Prosecutor Gravely.
The reason why, I believe, if I'm putting on my conspiracy cap, they have a very narrow window of time based off of Zachariah Anderson's phone activity. Mm-hmm. What they need to do is they need to say, Zach made a call or shot a text, left his phone at home, drove down there, did the bad thing, wrapped up the body, and then drove back home. Forget about the, nobody seeing him on camera or anything like that for a second. And then get back home, or at least within the cell phone range of his home, in time to, I think, make a call or receive a call. I think he called his girlfriend, and Solomon's going to correct me if I'm wrong. So they have that narrow time window, because otherwise his actions are all accounted for. He's been on camera in stores, he's been meeting with accountants, he's been doing whatever. All of his actions are accounted for, except for that very narrow window of time. Mm-hmm. We've got a witness that says, I heard loud banging between 10 p.m. and 11 p.m. on May 17th. Okay. No. That was the first witness. The first witness said May 17th, between 10 p.m. and 11. Well, that doesn't quite fit the timeline, but it's close enough. People are mistaken about the time. This is our window. That's how it works. And now we have a witness that says it was a completely different day in the afternoon. That's a problem. So, and I do know that we also, to be fair to the state, we also have inactivity of Rosalio's phone at a certain time, right? So everything kind of squares around May 17th still, but to have a witness that's completely out there, a different day, afternoon and evening, like you could say in the evening time, at night, but to go from midday to evening or night, that's a big difference, right? You know the difference at that point, even if you're not looking at a clock. So that was my biggest thing that I picked up with that unavailable witness. And I still don't know why she was unavailable. Maybe it's somewhere in the information, but I don't know why.
She refused to talk to the defense. They tried multiple times as well, which I thought was interesting. Then somehow the DA was able to get a hold of her. Not only did the police get a hold of her for her initial statement, but the DA got a hold of her to then get her to change her statement. But the defense could not get a hold of her or set up a meeting. Absolutely refused, which confused me. Why would she refuse to talk to the defense for that interview? And still has not.
Yeah. I don't know. Miss Douglas, if you're out there, we'd love to talk to you. But that's it. That's what we have for the show today. Again, we're trying to keep these short, sweet, hit our few points that we want. I mean, we could talk endlessly about this particular case, especially today's trial. If you missed today's trial, go to Solomon's channel and go watch it. It's only 5 hours. Watch it on double speed. Although Gravely on double speed is something else. Although the judge on double speed is quite nice. I will say that.
You can get through that last hour and actually keep your sanity if you speed it up a little bit.
Yeah, I do like listening to Judge Schroeder on double speed.
I don't. He's just infuriating me. He should have had enough integrity to say, no, I can't do this trial.
Yeah.
The only other thing that I wanted to point out was that we had the judge helping the prosecutor today. And for those of you that haven't watched it, go back and watch. The judge is making legal arguments for the prosecutor. He's not judging at that point. He's become the prosecutor himself. So you have a presumed innocent man then trying to defend himself against a judge and a prosecutor, both prosecuting him, not a judge judging the trial. It's very important that we recognize the bias and the impropriety in that action.
And it's not all. A lot of it's done in front of the jury too, which I'm not a fan of.
Yeah, so. That also. I mean, doing everything in front of so much crap going on in front of the jury, and the speaking objections from Gravely, where he in front of the jury explains his trail of thought. No, shut your trap hole. Objection.
Now maybe I'll address that a little more tomorrow.
Yeah. Anyway, that's our 45. Everyone, thanks for joining us. All right, David. What's tomorrow? Day 4?
Day 4 tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Central. Check it out. Watch with us. I know Branka's been covering it too. We'll have Branka on this stream at some point. I want him to get through without commentary. I just want him to watch it. We'll get it on. And then right back here again, 10 p.m. Eastern for another little roundtable discussion with, I forget who our guest is tomorrow. Steve Gosney. Gosney's joining us tomorrow. So talking about DNA.
Yeah.
You're going to want to watch this trial closely and then come right back here to talk about this DNA stuff.
Yep.
So join us for that.
Yeah, don't miss tomorrow.
Yeah. Have a good evening. Take care.
Bye-bye.